Well, things are coming along over here, and it's not at all even close to being done yet. Greetings and welcome to a bit of an LGR filler video because, yeah, things are happening a lot, but things that don't necessarily result in a lot of videos coming out here on this main channel. Presenting at conventions, I just got back from one of those and made an LGR blurbs video about it. There's going to be a video about it on this channel eventually, it's just not there yet, and I'm going to Vintage Computer Festival Southwest here pretty soon. So like, in between all that, also really working on this place and getting stuff out of storage and slowly putting things in and uncovering stuff. And well, something I uncovered, I'm like, just do a video on that real quick. Well, I say real quick, but that has yet to be seen. Yeah, this little guy right here. Yeah, I'm certainly not done putting this place together yet, but enough things are kind of in place that I figured we could take a look at this before I head out again to another show. All right, so what we got here is a rather basic but oddly nostalgic system from 1999. This is the Hewlett-Packard Pavilion, the 6535 in this case. I mean, literally in this case. This case also had a bunch of different model numbers, but this one is the one that I have on hand, and it's one that was given to me by my friend Billy Core of, oops, that's gonna come off pretty easily, I guess. But yeah, he does the Nostalgia Mall channel. And we were just talking about computers and stuff, as we do, and this one came up, and he's like, hey, I've got one of these just kind of hanging around, do you want it? And he dropped it off, and here it is. So he's done some things to it in terms of getting it put back together, and I think just did a basic restoration for Windows 98, and put in some kind of an SD card reader instead of a hard drive. But, you know, I'd like to clean it up a little bit more and give it more of a, not really a full restoration, right? But just, I don't like the mismatch here, right? So I want to maybe see if we can address that and do something about the sticker up here, just being kind of not really attached anymore. Oh yeah, and on the note of the sticker, let's just go over the specs. It is an Intel Celeron 466 megahertz system, 64 megs of SD RAM with a bit of that shared with a video chip, which is an integrated Intel thing. Ugh. I mean, it's AGP, but you know, only 11 megabytes of dynamic video memory. I remember it being complete garbage. But yeah, also originally an 8.4 gig hard drive, no longer, it's been swapped out here, and a V90 K56 Flex data fax modem, also not in here, and a 40-speed CD-ROM. It doesn't mention it, but there's also a 3.5-inch high-density floppy drive. Also love that NSTL hardware tested thing, year 2000 compliant. Oh, I feel so relieved. And it's also missing this I/O shield here, which is, you know, it's all minor stuff. This is actually, as far as I know, fully working, doesn't really need a whole lot of attention, but it's something that I would like to have because of the, well, you know, nostalgia factor of the thing. Like, it's just one of those computers that defines the end of the 90s right into the new millennium. And still to this day, when I think HP Pavilion, I think this design and those similar to it. And they were one of the few companies at the time messing around with some interesting designs, along with, of course, Sony with their VAIO machines and Acer with their Aspire desktops of different configurations. Things were very much moving away from the purely beige era and just dipping their toes into a little bit of color, also more so just gray and then black, which really dominated the mid-2000s onward. And yeah, the HP Pavilions from back then, while I didn't have one when it was new, I did end up getting one for free-ish in the mid-2000s, 2005, something like that. I was just going around fixing random people's computers, you know, whoever, friends or family, had a computer needed fixing up. I would go over there and do the best that I could. And then sometimes instead of paying me in cash, or in addition to that, they were like, hey, we've got this older computer that's just lying around. It doesn't work, or there's some issue. Oh, it's just so slow. We don't want to use it anymore. And an HP Pavilion, very much like this, was one of those computers that I ended up with. And it ended up being the first computer that I had that was, you know, from that century, that was in my bedroom. And like, you know, it wasn't great, but it was free. And it just had this kind of cool look to it. Again, I always thought that these were kind of cool. In fact, the one I had, I think, might have looked more like this case design, which came out right after the 6500 series I honestly don't remember, but there's something about having a little bit more color, and then the doors that open up on front. Definitely the one at the bottom I seem to remember mine having, and this one doesn't. It's just, you know, well, it wants to come off, but it's not supposed to. But yeah, this doesn't like open up. There's no ports up front here. In fact, there's also no ports here, although some of them did have it. There were models of this with a serial port on front. Interesting. You don't often see front-mounted serial. And then also there were some with front-mounted USB, which perhaps makes a little bit more sense. But you know, it was 1999, 2000. USB was still catching on. And here's an actual ad from the Winston-Salem Journal from December 29th, 1999. 9 days after my birthday that year. And yeah, you can see it was roughly $1,000 computer, but this is one of those where it was from that era that it was just rebate after rebate after rebate. So they were giving you hundreds and hundreds of dollars, potentially, depending on what you signed up for. So there was a holiday bundle mail-in rebate, and then this Internet Instant In-Store Savings one MSN was doing, $22 basically a month for MSN. And then depending on how many months you sign up for, you know, you get some money back up front. And, you know, sure, that's still a deal to a degree, but, you know, you're paying over time. But hey, if you were going to get your dial-up internet anyway, then that's one way to do it. And then you get a computer to actually do it with. I always thought it was a kind of a cool deal. But yeah, you can see right there, the 6535. And there were all kinds of ads that I found for this thing. Here's one from an Office Depot and the Chicago Tribune, giving pretty much the same deal as that Winston-Salem Journal one. Here's one from the Houston Chronicle. They had all kinds of HPs, but you can see here, yeah, the 6535 was very much the lower end one. This one actually includes the monitor, which I would love to find, but yeah, you can see some competitive or, you know, just other offerings from the Pavilion line. They all pretty much look the same. They're all in the same case, but yeah, like you can go all the way up to the high-end spec here, which was just significantly better. So yeah, here's one from the Toronto Star. And yeah, this ad actually shows the monitor pretty well. And you can see that is an HP M50. That is a 15-inch CRT, see right there? So it was often bundled with that, or either, I think the M70, which is a 17-inch. I wanna say I had the MX50 because when I got this, or one like this back in the day, it had a CRT monitor, but it looked like this, not like the M50. This is the monitor that came just a little bit after. So again, I think maybe I just had a later model, or it was just maybe it was the same tower and they just had a newer monitor. It's all within a year or two. Memories are hazy. But yeah, I would love to get one of those monitors again. I actually do have maybe an M50 on the way. Maybe that'll, geez, this thing is heavier than it looks. It might be here by the time this video is finished. But yeah, let's just go ahead and, well, let me show you what I have in mind, right? Because yeah, I don't just have one of these. Through the magic of acquiring two of them, I have another here, and it is, oh my goodness, in so much worse condition. But it was a good cheap parts thing that I picked up a while ago. Oh my goodness, the amount of pollen. It was left outside for a couple days while I was moving into this building. Doesn't matter. Mainly I wanted this panel here, although it is, you know, yellowed, right? So I might need to retro bright it or something, because they probably won't match. And this doesn't really have a lot in there, although it has, I think, the original hard drive, which is awesome. I do want to use this if it still works. Everything else has been taken out of here. In fact, all the cables were just cut. This poor thing has gone through a fair bit. But you know, a spare motherboard, who knows if that thing still works in this one, but it'd be nice if that was an actual working spare. And also, check this out, there is our IO shield, as well as the original modem and an Ethernet card. I don't think that's original to it. Oh, this poor thing. Yeah, there's a decal from earlier. I mentioned Polk Audio speakers with PowerPort technology and one touch keyboard with internet access. Yeah, we got those too over there somewhere. Focus, focus. There they are. Again, in anticipation for this, I had to pick these up. I mean, because I remember them, especially these little speakers and this keyboard. Actually, I had the mouse too. So heck yeah. It just completes the whole thing so well. And as far as I know, the mouse and the keyboard are actually unused. I got them new old stock some time ago. Again, just hoping that I would find one of these computers one day. And they were such a good deal. But yeah, here's the internet keyboard with its one touch internet access, which just means There you go. It'll open Internet Explorer or whatever you have going on. But yeah, look at all these things. You got all these like sleep modes and help things and shortcuts to HP stuff and printing, different URL shortcuts for websites that HP probably had some deal with to put them on here. And then your CD/DVD/MP3 controls with volume. This felt so futuristic at the time. I just loved this on this thing. In fact, I remember using this computer when I had it, or one very similar to it, mainly as an MP3 player in my room with that Kazaa, probably LimeWire going, Morpheus, whatever. And these little speakers, I don't remember really using them much because I think they were crap. In fact, at the time, I was using this Sharp stereo system, which I've already done a video on. I had that in my room connected to this computer. So yeah, it was kind of a nice little setup for a bit. And then this, I don't know what they mean about PowerPort technology, because it's just a standard little 3.5mm connection, but they don't require power. Like, it's just amplified by the amp that's built into the speaker output of the motherboard. Greetings from the editing room. Yeah, it turns out this is just Polk Audio's thing, patented PowerPort technology with flares and diffusers to make sound better. You know what? I really doubt the tiny little 1/2-inch holes make that much of a difference, but hey, marketing. So yeah, really at this point, the main thing I'm looking for is the CRT. And again, maybe it'll show up. It's in the mail. We'll see if it actually shows up in one piece. It could be nice, or it could, be like this. Honestly, you never know. Yeah, let's go ahead and just power it on as it is right now. And then we'll take some parts from that and put them over here. And then if the monitor shows up, great. If not, well, whatever. This is just a fun video before I go on a trip anyway. Not everything needs to be like super involved, right? At least I'm saying so, to make myself feel better. Amusingly, it doesn't say which is left or right. It does say which one is Elmo. All right. Well, let's just do this thing. I think that's already on. Yeah, it was a rather dim monitor. It might just be the lighting in here. That's obviously one thing I haven't worked out at all yet, is any kind of lighting. It's just the overhead stuff. Yeah, that is really, really dim. I mean, it's still really dim, but that might just be this monitor. It might just be darker than I recall. Can compensate a bit with the camera here. All right, so it has detected our dark monitor, and wow, that is horrendous. That is the worst I've ever seen on one of these. Just looking at frazzled sadness. Wow. The output of the video on this thing is, I guess, just not very good. This is not normally looking like that on this monitor. Like, I know this monitor looks pretty decent normally, at least last time I tested it. Oh man, it's like doing this flickering too. I really do think that is the computer itself, like just the output of that integrated video. I'm gonna try another monitor really quick. I haven't actually brought that many monitors over here yet, so hopefully this is a little better. That looks just as horrendous to me. It's also like going in and out. Like, what is going on with this thing? Oh, wow, yeah, the flickering on and off is like even worse though. Like, what the heck is with that? At least this monitor is a lot brighter, so I can have the lights on here. I don't plan to be testing like a lot of things over in this area necessarily. I do have workbenches over there I'm setting up to do more of this with better lighting, but yeah, I don't know what's going on with the flickering and like, yeah, that's terrible. This is why I wanted a warehouse. I have all the things on hand all the time. That looks significantly better immediately. It's still doing the flickering though. Might have some marginal capacitor kind of situation going on. I don't know, we need to open this thing up and kind of take a look, because I haven't actually gone in there and seen what's what yet, and I don't remember from Billy's video. Yeah, there's still some like zzz, so let's not do that. I love those sounds though. And yeah, to be sure, I'm testing it over here on a workbench, which isn't really ready for prime time yet, but completely different power circuit, no extension cords or power strips or anything in the way to, yeah, just checking the power situation. Yeah, that still looks like crap. Yep, it's doing the flickering on and off, and we got that noisiness around the fine details and everything. The glitching, so something is up with the computer itself. Oof. So yeah, this is a workbench area that is very much, like I said, not ready for anything yet. We're still putting it together completely. Haven't even put a surface on it. But let's just get this crap taken apart real quick. I wasn't planning on needing this other motherboard, but there is one in there in case that's necessary for components or swapping it out, or I don't even know what condition that's in. Hey, hard disk is still in there. That's cool. And of course, power supply and everything else is in the way due to this crammed design, so you can't see shit. You know, it could also just be the power supply. These the best techs from this era are not the best tech. Okay. You know, just at a cursory glance, all the caps that I can see are looking fine. Of course, that doesn't mean anything, but they're not leaking or being immediately the worst, so that's something. I would honestly put money on the power supply being a piece of crap. I mean, I know it is, but I don't have anything this small on hand to replace it with. Irritating. So yeah, I just went back and looked at Billy's video from when he had this computer, and he mentioned the waviness and noise of the output as well. And yeah, theorized that it was probably the power supply failing, and I genuinely don't doubt that. I would want to replace this thing anyway. But yeah, since I don't have one on hand that is in the correct form factor, we'll just have to make do for now, and we can do the other things I was wanting to do for this video. And to start with, I'm just gonna strip down that other one that I had for spare parts and I'll get all the spare parts out of there, including that 3.5-inch drive bay panel, the 2 add-on cards that were in there, and the motherboard itself, because I don't know, it actually looks pretty decent, so that might be a nice spare to have on hand. And of course, that I/O panel cover that goes around back is going to be very nice to have, since HP made their own that were tailored to each specific machine with their own markings and whatnot. Also cleaned up that little drive bay insert a little bit, and it actually ended up looking much better with just a little bit of work. It looks much closer to the gray it should be now. And then yeah, all the drives that were in here, the CD-ROM, floppy, and hard disk, I may as well keep those too, clean them up a little bit, and yeah, I got a warehouse. I can find somewhere for them to live. Look at all these spares. And yeah, I think that front panel is actually going to work nicely once I get that SD card reader out of there. I'm gonna keep it actually, you know, it's gonna still be used in this machine, at least for a little bit, but I just want it to be internal as opposed to on the front and not matching. And yeah, speaking of the front and the sides and the top and everywhere else, I may as well just clean it up while I'm here, and went ahead and did that, as well as removing that sticker on top carefully so that it's not damaged any more than it already is. And then the edges of Scotch tape, yeah, just sliced off the edges of those. And yeah, I'm doing it on top of this table, I don't care. It's been through a hurricane. Also, I don't have my worktop mats out of storage, so I'll get those eventually. But onto the machine that we're actually restoring here, and yeah, went ahead and took that stupid power supply out of there for good. But this thing is so cramped and smushed in there, and everything is behind other things, just a tiny little micro ATX design. And of course, it makes sense to just remove the motherboard and everything else anyway, just to give it a cleaning. And thankfully, Hewlett Packard made it quite easy to do so. It's got one of those motherboard trays and really a whole mounting solution that comes out completely from the side and the back, including the expansion slots. And since I wanted to get the CPU fan and heatsink cleaned out, I just went ahead and pulled that out of there. And it's one of those where it's kind of adhered to the processor. But I had a feeling that was due to the old thermal compound being old. And yeah, with a little bit of pressure, it came right off of there. And yeah, that heatsink and fan were caked with dust, as were a number of little corners on the motherboard, so a little handheld electric blower helped on that front. And the old thermal crap scraped right off of there with a plastic scraper and a little alcohol cleaning, and yeah, it was looking great. Stuck the Celeron back in there, got some new thermal paste, and there you go. Of course, I had to get the motherboard out of there entirely to get that I/O shield in place where it needs to be, and yeah, that's looking so much nicer already. Yeah, there's not too many other things I really want to change here. It's mainly the power supply right now, and like I said, I don't have one in the right size, so I'm just going to use this random APVIA one that I have, and it doesn't have a negative 5 volt rail, but that shouldn't be a problem on here. I don't think there's any components that use that. Oh, actually, yeah, I almost forgot to take out that little SD card drive thing, which required getting to the other side once again, so I had to take that apart again, pulled right out of there, and that insert for the 3.5-inch drive bay is now able to be populated with the right piece of plastic. And I don't know, to me this just looks so much better. I'd rather have it mounted in the back instead. Or, in this case, what I'm going to do is just stick it inside there. I really don't need to be accessing that thing all the time, especially not today. So yeah, I just got the power supply hooked up to the motherboard and the different drives, and I needed a couple of floppy adapters for both the floppy drive and SD card reader, and that was that. Oh yeah, flawless setup. Let's see if it works. I hear some fans. All right. Good deal. I don't remember, what is it, F1? Okay, delete F1, one of those, I pressed them both. All right, so the CMOS battery is working, so presumably been replaced. 32 megs for the, what? Okay. So it's thinking that the primary master is 32 megs. That would be that SD card reader, and of course that's fine for the CD-ROM. 128 megs of RAM. You're just gonna leave things as they are, and also I'm hearing some kind of noisy fan activity. Yeah, that CPU fan needs to be replaced. If I had another one of those on hand that was that size, I would go ahead and do it. Get a Noctua in there or something, but I don't have one, so I'm gonna have to figure out what size that is. Yeah, what the heck? All right, that's a thing with this SD card. Oh, I don't have it plugged into power. That would be why, I suppose. I know what I'm doing. Okay. Yeah, that little noisy fan really is a piece of junk. Listen to this thing. Hey, there we go. And yeah, that video image is looking immediately better, so, and it's not flickering on or off or anything. Yeah, that was definitely this crappy power supply. Let's go throw this thing in the garbage. I mean, it might be worth recapping, I don't know. But yeah, this Bestech ATX 100-5 is what it is. And it's just 100 watts. I really think I could, you know, go for something like a Pico PSU and just plop that in there. I don't know, it'd be nice to have something that actually fit. Editing LGR here, and I think it is actually a standard SFX power supply. I was actually thinking it would be slightly odd because it's so similar to the Hot Wheels Barbie PC one, but the issue with that is that it had the cords coming out on one side over here on those Patriot computers, but this HP one appears to be an SFX, but with it actually coming out in the direction that makes sense. So I might just be able to swap in a regular modern SFX power supply, though I'm not opposed to a Pico PSU or something. All right, curious what we got going on in here in terms of, oh, hey, it's registered to me already. What a nice touch. Thank you, Billy. But yeah, we have, what was I gonna look for? Oh yeah, so it's Intel 810 chipset. Ugh. And some generic Crystal Audio, and it is DOS compatible, I would assume. Yeah, probably the game device. Yeah, there we go. And there's a little bit of a glitchiness going on with the video there, so I'm wondering if that's still, yeah, it's still doing something strange. It at least like looks visually better for sure. You know, it's not nearly as noisy and wavy or anything, but all right. Well, let's get one of these MIDI players. Still not great with that flickering going on with the display. MIDI sounded okay, actually. So I would be curious to stick a PCI video card in here, just some little GPU. It's going to be better than whatever the heck is in here anyway, but I don't have any on hand. I haven't brought those over from storage yet. So it's saying 21 megs approximate memory. It's just sharing whatever. I thought it set up to 11, but Hey, okay. And maybe it's just taking more since we have 128 megs of RAM in here. Okay, well here it's saying 4 megs. And then, yeah, wow. Man, it's like glitching worse and worse. Look at that, look at that. What the heck's going on? Yeah, I think we're getting like more visual weirdness the longer it goes. Like there's just that, yeah. You see what's going on. Well, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do about that. Other than, I mean, we could try the other motherboard that I have over there sometime, but I'm kind of running out of time to put this video together because I am indeed leaving here pretty soon. So I got a couple of games here, a few games. We'll try Dukem to Nukem. I think it's, yeah, ugh. M. I don't like an optical drive with M as the drive letter. It just bothers me. Oh, goodness. That sounds a little rough, too. I think it's just a little bit rattly with all the, you know, it's fine. It's holding itself together, and it's working. A little glitchy. Okay. And I think it did have the 330 for that. Nope. Yeah, listen to the cam on that CD-ROM. And you know, I didn't notice the video flickering like this in DOS, so I wonder. 225 one, okay, that's fine, I already knew that. I'm wondering what this is. Okay, 300, interesting. Well, we should hear it. Oh, couldn't detect FM chip. This is just gonna be one of those like really annoying crystal sound chips, huh? Wow, interestingly crap. Let's just do mono at 44. Whoa, okay. What's that? We got some odd results. You know what, I like that brokenness of the mono. Let's put it down to like 8 kilohertz. Wow, this thing does not know how to scale any of the mixing rate settings at all. Whoa. Fine with stereo, it just sounds crunchy, but if you put it into mono, let's just see what that sounds like. Okay. Oh. What? Oh, this is neat. Wow. Oh, that's so great. I don't know why, but I kind of like it. Oh, those alien noises. Oh. I gotta say, Popgun Duke Nukem is pretty amusing. I was supposed to be no one steals our chicks and lives. And like, all you could hear is this. Wow. What an odd thing. I wonder what some of the other guns sound like. Still sounds kind of beefy. That's awesome. Okay, well anyway, I didn't expect that, but it's a funky sound chip. These quirks of these things sometimes, you never know what you're going to get. Let's try Moto Racer, why not? That should be okay on here. Nice. Get CD audio.
Enter your name. 3, 2, 1.
All right. So far, so good. Heck yeah. Quite good results. Time to die. I figured it would be good with this, but you never know. There could be some strange crap going on, and it doesn't seem strange at all. So, a total success. Let's go back and try the other Nerf Arena Blast, because that is an Unreal Engine thing from 1999, and is kind of the limit of what I would expect to be able to run on this machine as it is. Man, what is crowing on out there? All right, so now getting a bit of that visual glitching. What if it is just a Windows thing? This is interesting. But yeah, so we just have regular settings here, not gonna do anything. I mean, there's not much else you can adjust really in this game unless you go into the advanced settings, but yeah, just leaving it as is. Yeah, not great performance, but honestly, it's slightly better than I expected, maybe. Just immediately get those points. Shoot the targets. But yeah, interesting results from this thing all around so far, to be honest. Not what I was quite expecting, but pretty close to what I was expecting when it's working properly. And just out of curiosity, this is a software renderer here. And you know. And also, I just never seen this game run in software rendering, so I was curious what it looked like.
Hit me with your best shot.
Like that. Yeah, it definitely still glitches out visually a little bit, but it doesn't seem to be as much. I don't know. It's really hard to tell. It's inconsistent is what I'm seeing across all the results. I mean, it might have been doing it in DOS as well. I just didn't notice for some reason. I mean, this really does feel like it's doing it less in this mode than it was in Direct3D, but I do not know. Well, anyway, that's pretty much it for this thing at the moment, at least for just testing things out and stuff. I do want to see if I can get to the bottom of that video issue, maybe put another GPU in there when I can find one. And then, at this point, the main thing is really just getting that sticker, well, you know, putting the case back together, and getting that sticker put back on top, and have a plan for that. Although, I mean, since it's right here, maybe I could test one of the original hard drives and see if they're at least working. So yeah, I do have this thing scanned in. So if I want to attempt reprinting a much better quality version, you know, clean it up and then get it looking new again, maybe make my own decal in the future, that's something I'd like to try to get into, is making like reproduction stickers and whatnot. But for now, I'm just going to make it sticky again with some sticky stuff. Not perfect or anything, but definitely flatter than it was, and hopefully a little more consistently stuck on there. Yeah, definitely attempt a reproduction decal at some point. I think that would look great. So as for the hard drive, it's set to cable select, it appears. We got a different cable here we can do. I don't know how well it works with another drive on the same cable. Sometimes these can be finicky with that, but I'm gonna try it anyway. Nah, I'm just gonna do this one on its own for now, see if it even still works and stuff. Okay, it has detected that. Intriguing. Okay, I'm going to turn that off and see if we can get them both going at the same time. And they are not detected at the same time, which is pretty much what I expected. I can't even see any jumpers on this to select anything, so I'm just gonna swap the cables. Hey, well that worked. No, it didn't. Never mind. Well, all right, so just the hard drive. Okay, there we go. Yeah, actually, I seem to remember now in Billy's video, him mentioning it had Windows 2000 on there for some reason. Well, those are some beautiful noises, and it looks like this thing is like cleared out entirely, just a stock install, and we're still getting that same visual glitchery. Yeah. And that's happening across all displays I've tried, different operating systems. So whatever's causing that, I mean, I'm assuming it's just other components, the capacitors or whatever failing. So yeah, definitely want to try the GPU thing at some point. But that's, I think, pretty much it for this video for today. Oh, hey, look what showed up. Let's see if this thing survived. Okay, double boxed. I don't know. Paper, packing peanuts, and priority mail packages. So far, so good. Smells weird. Kind of like perfume and air freshener, a little bit of dog. Frozen pet food. I thought I smelled dogs. Yeah, I'm genuinely surprised, and happily so, that this appears to be fully intact. Heck yeah. It is a little guy. I always forget how small these 15 inchers look. But yeah, it's a 15-inch monitor as opposed to the 17 here. I mean, yeah. Still though, it goes with the system. Yeah, it's a little bit dirty, but I mean, I'm not seeing anything broken. All the buttons feel good. That's great. Doesn't even look like scratched up or anything. So yeah, this is just for a microphone. Presumably that right there is the mic, and it's like a little webcam attachment thingy up here. And then little speakers, little ears go on the side here. I don't think the speakers I have, the Polk Audio ones, will do it. I don't have any mounts, but anyway, let's hook this up. Really is just something about having the correct monitor that completes a look of a system. And yeah, the more I look at it, the more it's obvious it is not the correct keyboard for this model, probably for the one right after. Maybe the same for the mouse and speakers. I mean, I remember having these, but again, I think I had that slightly later Pavilion, or it just had peripherals from it. I don't know, it was a weird mix of things. Definitely did not have this monitor, and this is made for those side speakers. So I'd love to get those speakers and then maybe use this for another HP Pavilion that would be more correct later on. All right. Get some geometry and color adjustment here soon, but hey, detected, the Pavilion M50. So immediately satisfying. I love connecting everything. And is that microphone is just playing straight through the speakers. Oh, we got some feedback. Feedback here. I'll take the order. It's just set to play back straight through the thing. What is it? 640 by 480. We'll just leave it there, and we'll see what we got going on here. What is this minimalist ass menu? It's the 90s. We've got to simplify everything and make computers easy. Oh, those are the different color modes. Right. So presumably game mode, which actually kind of looks the best to me. Dang, that is as bright as it gets, huh? This is a little bit tired. It'll look good in like a dark room, which I have planned for over there, and setting these kind of things up, man, it's gonna look awesome. Yeah, we don't get a lot in terms of more skewing and taking care of some of these corners, and just the overall like geometry is, yeah. I hope that there's some internal adjustments in there, because otherwise that's kind of bad. Actually, let me do this really quick. Oh yeah, this is a crazy good recording right here. Listen to this, Windows 98. Oh yeah, this is a crazy good recording right here. Listen to this, Windows 98. Phenomenal. Yeah, that really is it for this video here. And obviously things still need some work. Need to get that video problem solved. Hopefully just putting a PCI card in there for dedicated graphics will do it, but I don't know, we'll see. And got spare parts over there, that's great. Still want to get like things off of the SD card reader onto the original hard drive just because I like the sound of it and everything. But you know, anyway, hope that you enjoyed this and this kind of testing out this room. Like I said, very much not done yet. This is not the setup that I want to be using permanently or anything, so don't worry about that. Yeah, still working on it. I just was excited to put the warehouse to the test, even if there's not a whole lot of stuff in it yet. Yeah, this is really exciting times for me over here. But yeah, on to a Vintage Computer Festival, and I will be there doing that and come back and make more LGR things soon after. So hope that you stick around for those, and thanks as always for watching.